The sky was sinking into a purple-blue dusk, the kind that made the valley look endless and lonely. Eli Turner had been out checking the far fences, reins loose in his hands, thoughts drifting the way they always did when he rode alone. But just as he rounded the edge of the old cottonwood grove, his horse twitched beneath him, ears flicking forward. That's when he saw her. A small figure moving unsteadily near the fence line, clutching the wooden rail for balance. At first, Eli thought it was a traveler who'd lost their way. But as he came closer, his stomach tightened. It was a woman. And not just any woman, Clara Mason. Her hair was tangled and falling down her back, dress torn on one side, sleeve ripped clean off at the seam. She looked like she'd walked through thorns, dust covering her arms and legs. Her face looked bruised, swollen in places, and her breathing came in short, panicked bursts. Eli's heartbeat slammed painfully against his ribs. "Clara," he called out. She jerked her head toward him, eyes wide like a scared deer. For a moment, she seemed unsure whether to run or collapse. When Eli saw the faint blood on her lower lip, something hot and furious ignited inside his chest. He slid off his horse and approached slowly, palms open, voice steady. "It's Eli Turner. You're hurt. Let me help." Clara stumbled back, hands raised. "No, please don't come closer," she whispered. Her voice was shaky, thin, as if she hadn't spoken properly in hours. "If he sees you with me, if he finds out I talked to someone." "He won't," Eli said with a certainty he didn't actually feel. "Not tonight." She shook her head violently. "You don't understand. He locked me in the house. He said he'd finish what he started when he came back." Her voice cracked on the last words. Eli felt his fingers tighten into fists. "Clara, what did he do to you?" She hugged herself instinctively, as if trying to hide the answer. "I just said one thing wrong. One thing. Dinner wasn't warm enough when he came home." A bitter laugh escaped her. "That's all it takes with him." Eli inhaled slowly, painfully. Mason's cruelty was no secret, but seeing the result right in front of him, it was worse than any rumor. "Clara," he said gently, "look at me." Her eyes lifted slowly, uncertainly. "You can't stay out here alone. You'll collapse before you reach town." "I have nowhere to go." "You do now," Eli said firmly. She blinked, confused. "What do you mean?" "I'm taking you to my ranch." Her face went pale. "No. If Grant finds out where I went, he'll burn your place. He'll hurt you. He'll hurt anyone who helps me." Eli stepped closer, slowly enough that she could stop him, but she didn't. "I'm not afraid of him." "You should be," she whispered. "Everyone else is." "I'm not everyone." For a long moment, the only sounds were the wind brushing through the sagebrush and Clara's uneven breathing. Eli could see the war inside her, fear pulling her one way, desperation pulling her another. Finally, her knees buckled. Eli lunged forward and caught her gently, supporting her weight with one arm around her shoulders. She flinched at the touch, a small hiss of pain escaping her lips. "You're okay," he said softly. "I've got you." Her body was trembling, exhausted from fear more than the walk. Eli lifted her carefully onto his horse. She tried to protest, but her voice was too weak. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For what?" Eli asked, genuinely confused. "For causing trouble." Eli paused, staring at her with an expression she'd never seen on any man before, protective, angry, and gentle all at once. "You're not trouble," "Clara," he said. "You're someone who has been hurt. And no one deserves that. Not ever." She stared at him as if trying to understand his words, as if they were in a language she'd forgotten. He mounted behind her, guiding the reins so his arms lightly surrounded her. She stiffened at first, but as the horse began to move, she slowly relaxed, leaning gently against him. Eli tried not to react, but the closeness hit him hard. It had been years since he'd held anyone this near. The ride back felt longer than usual. Clara said almost nothing, her head resting against his shoulder, breaths shallow and uneven. Eli could feel every tremor that passed through her body. He forced himself to stay calm, even as fury simmered inside him. When they finally reached the ranch, dusk had melted into a starless night. Eli swung down from the horse and lifted Clara into his arms. She gasped softly as her ribs shifted. "Easy," he murmured. "I've got you." Her fingers curled weakly into the front of his shirt. "I don't want to burden you." "You're not a burden," he said again. "And you won't convince me otherwise." He carried her inside the cabin. The warm glow of the lantern lit her face, bruised, exhausted, but still holding a fragile kind of dignity that took Eli's breath away. He placed her gently in the chair by the fireplace, lit a new log, and fetched warm water. Clara watched him with wide, uncertain eyes. "You don't have to," she began. "I know," Eli said quietly. "But I want to." He cleaned her wounds carefully, the towel brushing her skin with feather-light touches. Every time she winced, he paused. "You're being too gentle," Clara whispered. Eli frowned. "What do you mean?" "I'm not used to people being gentle." Eli stopped moving for a moment, staring at her with something like heartbreak. "Well," he said softly, "you'll have to get used to it here." Her eyes glistened. After tending her cuts, Eli heated soup, though Clara barely managed a few spoonfuls. "I don't understand why you're helping me," she murmured. "Because someone should," he replied. Clara lowered her gaze. "People have seen bruises before." No one said anything. "That's because they're cowards," Eli said, unable to hide the bitterness in his voice. Clara swallowed, tears threatening. "I didn't think anyone cared. I thought I'd die in that house someday and no one would ever know what happened." Eli moved closer, kneeling beside her. "I would know," he said quietly. "And I'm not going to let that happen." She looked at him, then really looked at him as if seeing him for the first time. Her voice trembled when she whispered, "Why?" He held her gaze, steady and honest. "Because you deserve better than the life he gave you. Because no one should live in fear. Because you're worth protecting." Clara blinked hard, tears rolling down her cheeks. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I keep crying." "You're allowed to cry," Eli said. "You're allowed to feel safe too." He helped her into his bedroom. She hesitated at the threshold. "This is your room," she protested weakly. "It's yours tonight," Eli said firmly. "What about you?" "I've slept on a lot worse than a sofa." Clara managed a faint smile. "You're a strange man, Eli Turner." "Good strange or bad strange?" She considered. "Good. Very good." He stepped back as she settled onto the bed, pulling the blankets around her. "If you need anything," he said softly, "I'll be right outside." Before he closed the door, Clara whispered, "Eli, thank you." He stood there for a quiet moment after the door clicked shut, staring into the shadows, feeling something shift inside him. He had lived alone for years, believing his heart had turned to ash after the fire. But tonight, helping this trembling, brave woman, something had sparked again. And when Grant Mason arrived at the door later that night drunk, furious, demanding his wife back, Eli knew one thing with absolute certainty: he would not give her up. Not now. Not ever. The night after the fight was cold in a way that seeped into the bones. Clara stood at the window long after the riders had vanished into the darkness. Grant's last hateful glare still burned into her mind. Eli closed the door gently behind him and walked toward her, but she didn't turn. She kept staring at the empty horizon as if expecting her nightmare to come galloping back out of it. "You're safe," Eli said softly. She nodded, but her hands were trembling. "He won't give up. You know that, don't you?" Eli stepped closer, his presence warm, grounding. "Let him come. I'll be here every time he tries." Clara turned to him, her breath shaking. "Why, you barely know me. You're risking your life, your land, everything." Eli's jaw tightened as he shook his head. "I'm not risking anything that matters more than you do." Clara froze, eyes widening. She didn't know how to answer because no one had ever spoken to her like that. Eli shifted, suddenly looking almost embarrassed. "I didn't mean to scare you with that. I won't let him hurt you. Not now. Not ever again." Clara swallowed hard, voice trembling. "I don't know how to live without fear. I don't remember how it feels." Eli reached out slowly, giving her room to pull away. She didn't. His fingers brushed her cheek, gentle as a whisper. "Then I'll help you remember." A tear slipped down her cheek, and without thinking, she leaned into his hand. Eli stilled, as if afraid even a breath might break the moment. But before she could speak, exhaustion washed over her suddenly. Her legs wavered. Eli's arms caught her instantly. "You need rest," he said, voice quietly firm. "No," she whispered weakly. "If I sleep, I'll see him again. Then I'll stay close," Eli promised. "I'll be right outside the door." Clara hesitated, then nodded. He led her back to the bedroom, his bedroom, but she didn't argue this time. She allowed him to help her lie down, and for a brief moment, as he placed the blanket gently over her, their eyes met. Something unspoken passed between them, fragile, uncertain, but unmistakably real. He stepped back, forcing himself to leave before he said something he couldn't take back. But Clara reached for his hand before he could turn away. "Don't go yet," she whispered. Eli froze, then slowly sat on the chair beside the bed. "I'm here. Talk to me," she murmured. "I don't want to think. I don't want to hear anything except your voice." Eli took a quiet breath. "What do you want me to talk about?" "Anything. Your ranch. Your past. Why you live alone." Eli hesitated, then began speaking slowly, softly, as if opening doors he had kept locked for years. "I wasn't always alone," he said. "I had a family once. My parents. My sister. They lived on this land long before I did. But there was a fire. A bad one. I tried to get them out, but..." His voice broke, just slightly. "I only made it out myself." Clara's face softened with empathy. "Eli. I'm so sorry." He shook his head. "It was a long time ago. But after that, I didn't want anyone close. I didn't want to lose anyone again." He swallowed. Until you. Clara's breath caught. Eli looked away, but she reached out, her fingers brushing his wrist gently. You're not going to lose me, she whispered. He met her eyes again, and for the first time in years, hope flickered in his chest. Clara finally drifted into sleep, not deeply, not peacefully, but enough. Eli stayed right there, listening to her breathing, fighting the urge to take her hand. He watched the rise and fall of her chest until his own heart began to calm. Hours passed before she stirred again. Moonlight spilled through the window, brushing her hair with silver. She blinked sleepily. You stayed, she whispered. Told you I would. You must be exhausted. I'm fine, Eli said, though his eyes were red from lack of sleep. Clara pushed herself up, wincing as the pain in her ribs flared. Eli immediately leaned forward. Careful. I'm okay, she murmured. Just, sit with me. Eli's breath hitched, but he nodded. He sat on the edge of the bed, maintaining a respectful distance. Clara shifted so she was facing him, her eyes searching his face. You're the first man who's never hurt me, she said softly. Eli closed his eyes briefly, fighting the urge to reach for her. I never will. She studied him, lingering on the bruise forming along his jaw, the small cut at his eyebrow. He did this because of me. I don't regret a single bruise, Eli replied. I'd take worse if it meant getting you to safety. Clara felt warmth bloom inside her chest, something she thought she'd lost the ability to feel: gratitude, affection, maybe something deeper. Eli. She whispered, I don't know what I am supposed to do now. I've never had a choice before. I've never had a life that belonged to me. Eli moved closer by an inch, cautiously. Then we'll build one. Together. If you want. Her breath trembled. And if I want to stay here, for more than just safety. Eli's eyes softened, turning almost tender. Then I'll carve out a place for you on this land. In this home. In my life. Clara's lips parted in a silent breath. He wasn't just offering shelter. He was offering belonging. She leaned forward slightly, her forehead brushing his shoulder. The gesture was small, tentative, but to Eli, it felt like the world shifting on its axis. He hesitated only a moment before wrapping his arms around her gently, carefully, as if she were something precious he didn't want to break. Clara melted into him. For the first time in years, she felt warmth instead of fear. Steadiness instead of violence. A heartbeat near hers that didn't mean danger. When she finally pulled back, her eyes were shimmering. I'm scared, she admitted. Not of him. Not anymore. I'm scared because I feel safe. I don't know how to trust that. Eli lifted her chin with slow, careful fingers. Then trust me a little at a time, he whispered, just enough to breathe. Just enough to stay. The rest will come when you're ready. Clara blinked, her lips trembling, then she nodded. A soft knock suddenly sounded on the doorframe. One of Eli's neighbors, Tom Harris, stood there nervously. Eli, Tom said quietly, Sheriff Doyle's riding up. Looks like he wants a word. Clara stiffened. Eli squeezed her hand gently. It's okay. He's here to help. Eli stepped out to meet the sheriff. Clara stood weakly by the window, watching. Sheriff Doyle removed his hat as he approached. Turner. Mason's filed a complaint. Says his wife's been kidnapped. Eli's voice was ice. She left to save her life. Doyle nodded. And I believe that. He's drunk, he's furious, and he's dangerous. I can't arrest him without witnesses willing to speak. He glanced at the house. But I can put a deputy outside your ranch for protection until we find a way to stop him legally. Eli exhaled slowly. That's something. The sheriff leaned closer. And Turner, don't let her out of your sight. That man won't give up easily. Eli nodded grimly. When he returned inside, Clara's eyes were wide with worry. What did he say? That we're not alone, Eli said softly. And he's posted protection outside. Clara released a shaky breath. She stepped toward Eli, her voice small but strong. Then I want to stay, she said. Here. With you. Eli froze, the words hitting him like a strike of lightning. Are you sure? He whispered. Clara reached for his hand, this time without fear, without hesitation. I've never been more sure of anything. Eli pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly but gently, as if she were something sacred. Clara rested her head against his chest, listening to the steady, safe rhythm of his heartbeat. Outside, the night was dark. Inside, a new life was beginning. Not rushed. Not forced. Not broken. A life she chose. A life he would protect. And for the first time in a very long time, Clara Mason finally felt free.